Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to discuss my American Express Platinum card and whether or not I should keep it or cancel it. Now, my American Express Platinum card's annual fee just hit. When looking at my statement, I saw the large $695 on my account. Now, this amount really does sting every single time that I look at it. And anytime you have an annual fee credit card, you should always evaluate whether or not it makes sense for you to keep that card long term, because the annual fee does cut into your gains. So in this video, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look over all the different benefits and credits and perks that I've gotten from my American Express Platinum card and determine whether or not it makes sense for me to keep this card long term. Because while I may really like this card, am I getting myself $700 in value from having this card? And would I be better off having a different card in place of my American Express Platinum card? So for those of you who aren't familiar with the American Express Platinum card, the Platinum card gives you many different perks and benefits with the card that try to help offset the annual fee. American Express claims that these credits give you over $1,500 in value. So if you're gonna end up taking advantage of just half of these credits, you're gonna end up having positive value from having this card. So the way I'm gonna break down this video is I'm gonna look at the credits I use to the fullest and ones that I would use even if I didn't have this card. And then I'm gonna look at credits that I took advantage of, but I probably wouldn't pay full price for. Next, I'm going to look at credits that I didn't actually end up using. However, I do end up seeing great value in them. And then lastly is going to be credits that I didn't use at all, and I don't see myself getting any value from these credits as well. So the first is going to be an airline incidentals credit. Now this is going to be a $200 credit towards a specific airline that you end up choosing each calendar year. And this is supposed to be used for things like check bags, lounge access with that specific airline, and also food and beverage purchases on that airline's flight. Now some people may think this credit can end up being harder to use, but if you actually end up just doing just a little bit of research, you're gonna end up seeing that this credit is incredibly easy to use, and you can actually end up using it for flights if you end up just learning a few tricks on actually how to do that. One of the tricks ended up being to purchase a flight that ends up being under $100 with specific airlines. If you end up choosing JetBlue as your specific airline, then what you end up doing is purchasing a flight at $98 that is refundable, and then after you end up seeing this flight end up being triggered from the airline incidentals credit to your account, then you can actually end up calling up JetBlue, telling them that you actually want to cancel the flight, but instead of them actually refunding your credit card, what you actually end up having them do is make it as a travel bank into your account, and this will allow you to end up using that $98 towards a different flight that you want to fly on in the future, or you can end up just keeping that exact same flight if it actually is one that you already know that you want to take. A good place to find cheap flights like this would end up being looking at flights from places like LAX over to Vegas. You'll typically be able to find flights that end up being under $100 if you end up looking at just one ways. Just book this flight far in advance, then make sure it ends up actually being a refundable flight so you can actually end up getting yourself this travel bank. And then when you end up doing that, you'll be able to have yourself the $200 in credit from your American Express Platinum card. I've also heard that this works with Southwest as well, but pretty much each airline is going to have a different trick that you can end up using to trigger the airline incidentals credit that doesn't have to be used specifically for check bags, food and beverages with that flight, or lounge access. However, if you want to, you could always use this credit for those specific things. And I do realize that there are a lot of people out there who actually do end up needing to take advantage of the check bags, or they actually want to go to get lounge access, but they don't actually want to get themselves one of the specific lounge access credit cards. So for me, this ends up being an easy $200 in value. Each January, the start of the year, I max this out to the fullest. The second credit we're going to look at is going to be the Uber credit. Now, with the American Express Platinum card, you get yourself $200 throughout the year towards Uber rides or Uber Eats, and ends up being $15 a month. It is use it or lose it, and then in the month of December, you get an additional $20, which equals out to $200 throughout the entire year. Again, this ends up being an easy credit for me to use. I actually looked over my expenses last year and realized that I spent quite a bit of money on rideshare services. So every time that I travel, I take an Uber or a Lyft to the airport, and then when I actually get to that destination, I typically am going to be using Uber and Lyft, especially when it's domestically. If I do end up going overseas, then I do end up using either trains or subways. But in America last year, I spent over $1,000, close to $2,000 in rideshare services, which is something that I'm not proud of, but I can easily take advantage of this $200 credit because of how much I end up using rideshare services when I'm actually visiting friends in Los Angeles or when I'm traveling in a different city where I don't have my vehicle. The third easy credit that I use on my American Express Platinum card is the digital entertainment credit. And you end up getting yourself $240 throughout the year. It's $20 a month, use it or lose it. Ends up being with specific streaming services that are connected with the American Express Platinum card. Now the services that I end up using are Audible and ESPN+. These are two services that I'm going to use regardless of actually having my American Express Platinum card. In fact, I've had Audible for many, many years, even before I even thought about even getting myself the American Express Platinum card. So these are definitely two services that I will end up up using to the fullest, and I'm very happy to be able to get myself $240 in credits to be able to use to these services. So just from those 3 credits alone, I'm getting myself $640 in value. So yes, the American Express Platinum card does have a $695 annual fee, but the fact that I actually have 3 credits are going to be in categories and purchases that I'm going to be using regardless if I actually have this card ends up making the effective annual fee for me come down to only being $55. That is very, very reasonable for I think a lot of people to actually look at if you can definitely take advantage of these credits to the fullest the same way that I can. Now, if you happen to be watching this video because you are someone who's interested in getting yourself the American Express Platinum card, check out my referral link in the description box. And if you decide to use it, it will really help out the channel, and I'll be incredibly thankful for your support. So now that we looked at the different credits that I would end up actually purchasing regardless if I had the American Express Platinum card, let's look at some of the different credits and benefits that I would end up possibly wanting, but I might not pay the fullest that is asked for, but I'm very happy to be able to take advantage of having the American Express Platinum card. So the first one is going to be lounge access with the American Express Platinum card. Now, I don't know exactly how to calculate this to the fullest. There are different numbers that I can end up grabbing saying that this would end up costing, such as being able to go to the Centurion Lounge. It is actually for a guest $50, so maybe you can value each visit being $50, and then to have yourself something like Priority Pass, which you also end up getting with the American Express Platinum card, ends up being near like $500 to actually have a year membership. I wouldn't value it that high because I wouldn't pay for it just outright. I think most people probably would rather actually just get themselves a credit card that would allow them to access it as compared to actually just buying the service. But these are the price points that they're actually listed at. I think that everyone would probably value their lounge access at different levels. The way that I think of it is that the more you go, the more valuable the lounge access actually ends up being. And just this year alone, I went to the Centurion Lounge in Las Vegas, San Fran, Seattle, Houston, and also my home airport of Los Angeles. And just this year alone, I've used the Centurion Lounge at least 10 times, and we're only halfway through the year. So if you end up valuing access to the Centurion Lounge at the same value that American Express does with their guest pass accesses to the Centurion Lounge, that would be $50 each time, which means I've got myself at least $500 in value from accessing the Centurion Lounge. Now, I myself would not be paying $50 each time to actually enter the Centurion Lounge. In fact, if it cost something like $25, I definitely would pay for that to enter the Centurion Lounge, but I probably wouldn't pay for it every single time that I went to the airport. But even at $25 where I'm pricing it at, I still got myself $250 in value so far this year with using the Centurion Lounge. Now again, everyone's gonna price out the Centurion Lounge access at different price points. Some people probably think that $50 isn't enough since you can get yourself unlimited food and drinks, and depending on how much you actually end up taking advantage of these things in the lounges, you can end up getting yourself more value than actually $50. And for myself, I'm definitely someone who does when I'm actually in there, get myself multiple plates of food and also a decent amount of drink before my departure. But regardless of what you feel is the value of the Centurion Lounge and Priority Pass access, there's definitely value to it, and I'm incredibly thankful to be able to take advantage of that with my American Express Platinum card. The next credit I want to look at is going to be the Clear credit. You end up getting yourself a full Clear membership with your American Express Platinum card. This is priced at $189, and Clear ends up actually being an awesome service that allows you to bypass security. Now, when Clear first got added on to the American Express Platinum card, I thought to myself that I don't even need to even set up this benefit. I already have TSA PreCheck, and that allows me to speed past security, but Clear allows you to speed past even faster because it actually brings you to the front of the line of TSA PreCheck if you have it, or just of the front of the line of the general line in the airport. I really, really like Clear. I mean, it takes me at max like 5 minutes, but on average 2 minutes to get through airport security. This is absolutely incredible. I remember like 6 years ago when I used to go through the airport, I would show up like 2.5 hours early, and then to get through security would take me like at least an hour. So to contrast that with Clear just has made my travel experience so much better. Now, I don't think I would pay $189 for this benefit, but I do definitely see some great value in it. If you're someone who happens to have the American Express Platinum card and you haven't set up Clear yet, I promise you, when you actually end up doing it, you're gonna be incredibly happy with this service. Next, we're gonna look at the Saks Fifth Avenue credit. Now, how this ends up working is you end up getting yourself $50 each half of the year. It is use it or lose it. This ends up being towards Saks Fifth, either at their store or on their website. Now, this credit I've used to the fullest, getting myself $100 in value towards Saks Fifth. Saks is not a website that I would shop with if I didn't actually have this credit, so I definitely don't value this thing at the fullest. However, I am happy to take advantage of this and just get myself some new underwear with using this credit at Saks Fifth. And then every single time I've actually used this credit, I always take advantage of it with Rakuten. Rakuten, for those of you who don't know, is a shopping portal that allows you to either get yourself cash back, or if you happen to have a membership rewards or a credit card, you can actually end up getting yourself membership reward points instead of cash back. Rakuten, at least a couple times throughout the year, is going to have a pretty awesome multiplier at Saks Fifth. So you may be able to get yourself like 12% back with your purchase at Saks Fifth. So when you end up actually using your American Express Platinum card at Saks Fifth, if you end up using $50 one half of the year, $50 another half of the year, you're going to get yourself 1,200 membership reward points just for using this credit with your Saks Fifth purchase. So I definitely recommend for anyone who's looking to use this credit with Saks Fifth to just wait for Rakuten to have a bonus multiplier with Saks Fifth. Already know what item you want to purchase, and then as soon as this multiplier ends up hitting with Rakuten, then purchase the item so you're going to end up getting the best return for your spend. And then the next credit is going to be the Walmart Plus credit. Now you end up getting yourself a free Walmart Plus membership, which I believe is priced at $155. Now I did sign up for Walmart Plus, and I did end up shopping with Walmart a couple of times in the last year. I would not value this at $155. But I do think that if you are someone who frequently does shop at Walmart, you definitely end up getting yourself some good value from this because you're gonna end up getting similar benefits to like Prime membership with Amazon, except for it's just with Walmart. So if you are more of a Walmart person as compared to an Amazon person, or if you just happen to see certain deals with Walmart that you want to take advantage of, if I was thinking about how much value I probably got from having Walmart Plus from those two purchases, it probably was near maybe about $10-ish in value. But even still, that's better than having no dollars in value. So I'm happy that I did sign up for Walmart Plus. So now we're gonna look at some credits and perks that I didn't use last year, but I do see that there's value in them. The first one is going to be the hotel credit. The American Express Platinum card gives you a $200 hotel credit when you end up doing a prepaid hotel purchase with the American Express Platinum card with either Fine Hotel Resorts or the Hotels Collection. Now last year I actually did make a purchase with my American Express Platinum card at Fine Hotels and Resorts, but unfortunately I actually had to cancel my stay. So I wasn't actually able to take advantage of this $200 credit. But this is definitely a great credit to have, and in fact, if you actually end up looking at the different benefits you're gonna end up getting from the Fine Hotels and Resorts and the Hotel Collection, chances are you're actually gonna end up getting yourself even more than $200 in value with your stay. Other benefits that I didn't take advantage of, but I know have value, are going to be getting status with Hilton, having gold status with Hilton, and then also getting yourself gold status with Marriott. And the last year, I didn't actually stay with either Marriott or Hilton. I either stayed at boutique hotels or Hyatt hotels, so I didn't end up actually getting to take advantage of this perk, but definitely having gold status with Hilton can get you at least what I would consider like $95 in value, considering that you can end up getting yourself gold status with either the Hilton Surpass card or the Hilton Business card that both end up having $95 annual fees. I do have plans and already booked stays for Hilton hotels in the next year. Also with the Platinum card, you get global entry and TSA pre-check. This ends up being $100 in value. Now the reason why I didn't take advantage of this is because I already took advantage of it with a different credit card, but this definitely end up being valuable for someone who hasn't already happened to sign up for this service. Now there are actually more perks and benefits with the American Express Platinum card that either I didn't take advantage of or I just don't see any value in actually me having. One of them that I'll name will end up being the Equinox credit. You do end up getting yourself $300 towards Equinox. Now, there actually are Equinox near me, but this gym is just stupid expensive, and I can never see myself justifying paying the amount that they're asking for when it comes to their gym membership. I have a perfectly good gym that's right next to me that has all the amenities that I need, and I can never see myself changing over to an Equinox gym. So for me, that $300 credit has $0 in value. So when I add up all the different values that I end up getting from my American Express Platinum card, when it comes to my valuation of these different credits and perks that I end up getting, I calculate that I get over $1,000 in value from my American Express Platinum card, which means that I'm doing pretty darn good since the annual fee ends up being $695. Now this isn't even the valuation of what American Express would be considering for their own different perks and benefits. If I end up going off of what they do, I mean just Centurion Lounge alone, I've got myself, as I said earlier in the video, over $500 in value just this year alone. So if I end up going off their valuation, I'm doing incredibly well. I'm more than doubling the value of the annual fee, which is definitely a good justification for keeping this card. And I haven't even taken into consideration actual spend with this card. So with the American Express Platinum card, I'm gonna be getting myself 5x back on flights and also 5x back on prepaid hotels. Now, being someone who's deep in the points and miles game, I do my best to use points and miles for my flights. However, there are many occasions when it comes to especially domestic flights where it can make a lot of sense to just pay cash for the flights instead of using points and miles because the value just isn't very good. So when this actually ends up being the case, I end up using my American Express Platinum card for those flights. I end up getting myself 5x back. But when it comes to international flights, I end up being like $1,000 or even more if you end up looking at like business and first class. That's when I end up using my points and miles to take advantage of those sweet spots to get myself some excellent value. I also take advantage of the Amex offers that are connected with my American Express Platinum card. And if you're someone who ends up having this card but don't really look at those, you definitely should, because you can actually end up getting yourself quite a bit of points from taking advantage of the different purchases purchases that are connected with your Platinum card with the offers. I mean, there are just things that I knew I wanted to purchase, such as getting myself like a new sweatshirt for my birthday at Lululemon, and then actually end up seeing that I end up having an Amex offer where I can actually end up getting myself some points back from that purchase. So that ended up being an easy way to get myself some points on a purchase that I was gonna do regardless. And there's also Amex offers that will give you cash back. I know that last year I took advantage of getting myself $80 back on a $200 purchase with JetBlue. So it ended up being easy money for me to get, again, on a flight that I was gonna purchase, even if this benefit wasn't there. So I'll spend on my American Express Platinum card along with taking advantage of the Amex offers isn't enough to justify the annual fee. If you add in on top all the different perks and benefits that I've taken advantage of with the American Express Platinum card that give me more value than the annual fee, then the spend with the card just ends up being a cherry on top and I'm making this an excellent card to have in my wallet. So am I gonna keep my American Express Platinum card? Well, I think that it's pretty obvious that I am. Ever since I've gotten my American Express Platinum card, it has truly elevated my travel experience. Being able to not have to wait at the airport when it comes to the security line, and then being able to also take advantage of the lounge access has just made travel so much better. If you want to make your travel experience much smoother and way more comfortable, then I highly recommend getting yourself the American Express Platinum card. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you do happen to have any questions about the American Express Platinum card, drop it down in the comment section down below, and I'll do the best I can to answer it. And if you happen to really like this video, then please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Peace.